What's up, guys? This is Brent with Western Equipment. Time for another John Deere tractor review, and today we are going to be looking at the John Deere 6R 145. Now, to put this into perspective, kind of where this tractor sits at in the John Deere lineup, whenever we are looking at John Deere tractors, they start all the way down from a 1 series, then go to a 2 series, 3 series, 4 series that are all going to be subcompact or compact utility tractors. Then you're going to have a 5 series that are going to be your utility tractors. Then you have the 6, 7s, 8s, and 9 series tractors, which are going to be more of your farm use or ag tractors. So the 6R 145 is going to sit kind of at the top end of that 6 series class and kind of right in the middle of the 6R series specifically, because in that 6 series you're going to have 6Es, 6Ms, and 6Rs. And then within the 6Rs you're going to have multiple different horsepower, all the way down to 110 up to 250. So here we're at the 145, so somewhere right there kind of in the middle of those horsepower ranges. So let's start by talking just a little bit more about the engine. Like a lot of other John Deere models, the horsepower of this machine is going to be in the model number. So if we look here on the side of the hood, you are going to see the 6R and then the 145 towards the back. The 145 is going to be the rated horsepower of this engine, but keep in mind that you're also going to have a maximum horsepower on this engine of 160. Now this is going to be when we're at full throttle, full RPM, really pushing this machine. We can push it to get 160 out, but the rated operating horsepower of this machine is going to be 145. Now this is also going to translate to 113 horsepower at the rear for our PTO. So if we're using those different rear implements on this machine that are going to require the rear PTO, just keep in mind that you're going to have 113 horsepower back there at the rear. Now, as far as the engine goes, this is going to be a 6-cylinder John Deere engine, obviously rated at 145 horsepower. You are going to have different service points that are easily located on this machine. For instance, over here on the left-hand side, you are going to have your engine oil fill and your engine oil dipstick. Then once we move around here to the front of the machine, you are going to have your air filter way up on top. And then you're going to have a fuel filter right here in the front, right here in front of all of our cooling components. That's going to consist of our coolers and our radiator, all those things that are going to keep those fluids cool in the machine as we're running it. Then if we move over around here to the right hand side, we're going to be able to see such things as our coolant reservoir, our turbo. We're also going to be able to see our alternator and some other filters as well over here on the right hand side. So as far as serviceability goes on this machine, you are still going to be small enough that you can do a lot of this service on your own. But a lot of the times with these larger machines, your dealerships and such are going to offer service programs at different times of the year. So it may be a good idea that once you get up and into this size of the machine, you start thinking about looking into those service programs and see if it's worth you doing the work to change out all these filters and fluids, or if you'd be better off for your dealership to do so. Moving here to the left hand side of the machine, going right along with the engine, we'll start out by talking about a couple of our capacities. And for one, this is going to have a DEF tank on it. So right down here, this blue cap, this is going to be our DEF tank. It is going to hold right around 4.2 gallons. Then right above that, we are going to have our diesel tank, which is going to hold right around 74 gallons on this machine. So just know that those are easy to reach, not too high, not too low, right here in a good spot. You're going to see them as soon as you're getting into the machine. So very nice placement of those. Also on these machines, since we were talking about the front and the engine out there, keep in mind that this machine here does not have a loader on it, but these machines can be ordered, and most of the time are ordered as loader ready. So if you get your machine loader ready, you're going to have these large brackets on either side of the machine that is ready to add that loader, whether that be the 640R or the 660R. That is going to be up to you. The only difference between those two are going to be a few things. You're going to have a little bit more lifting capacity if you go with the 660 rather than the 640, and some other options as well. Then whenever we get into this loader ready package, you're also going to have your hydraulics. So over on the right hand side is where you would have your hydraulic block for that. You are going to have a standard of 2 couplers on this for your loader, so that you have the raise up and down, and then also the dump and tilt of your bucket. But you can also add in in that third function if you wanted to add such a thing as a grapple to this machine. Before we move completely to the rear, I want to hit on the rear axle here and also the transmission on these machines. Now, starting with the rear axle, what you're going to see is you are going to see this bar style axle. As you can see, we have a lot more axle sticking out here with the wheel recessed in, and the reason for this is to give you the option of either moving these wheels out for more stability, or even maybe the option of adding tools onto this machine for that extra traction as well. So keep in mind that that is the style axles that you are going to have. This is also going to give you some flexibility on how you want to weight this tractor. So if we wanted to have singles on like this machine, we could have a rear wheel weight that is put on the inside of the wheel like we have here, or we could put those weights on the inside and outside, or just on the outside of this machine. So you have a lot of options here at the rear having that bar style axle. Now, while we're talking about the rear axle, also in the transmission of these machines, you are going to have 4 different transmission options in this machine. You are going to have 2 different IVT transmission options. Those transmissions are going to function the same, except you are going to have 2 different speeds, one that has a top speed of 26 mile an hour and one that has a top speed of 30 mile an hour. Then you are going to have 2 different Auto Quad Plus transmission options. Same thing here, same transmission, just 2 different sets of top speeds. At the rear of the tractor, we've got a lot going on here, as you would expect moving up into that ag category. So on our compacts and subcompacts, these are usually pretty basic at the rear of the tractor, but once we move up into the ag category, we are talking about a lot more rear implements that we're going to be using. We're talking about more hydraulics that are going to be needed. We're talking about more lift capacity and differences in our actual PTO shaft, which you are going to see all in this machine. So for one, what you're going to have is you're going to have a category 3-point hookup here. This one actually has a hydraulic top link as well. This is not a standard feature, but this machine was ordered with this hydraulic top link to be able to help whenever hooking up with equipment. But you are going to have that category 3 on your 3-point hookup. You're also going to have on this machine a standard of 3 rear hydraulics and an option of up to 5. This machine here was ordered right in the middle with 4 sets of SCVs here and the 2 or 3 that are going to go along with your mid to go along with that loader package. So lots of hydraulic function on this machine to be able to run any of those types of attachments or implements that you're going to need. Now, you're also going to have your electric outlets back here at the rear for if you are needing to use a machine that has that convenience outlet or requires that electronic capability. Back here at the rear, you're going to have that as well. Then down here at our PTO, you are going to have a 540 and 1000 reversible shaft. So you are able to change this out, take the pin out, turn that shaft around and switch between 540 or 1000. And then once you're inside the machine, if you are running at 540, you also have the option of running at full 540 or 540 economy, which 540 economy is just being able to run this PTO at the speed of 540 revolutions per minute at a lower RPM on your engine, so you're not using as much fuel. So if you're in those situations where you're using your PTO shaft, it's not harsh conditions, we're not requiring a lot of engine speed to be able to run that machine, that 540E, that 540 economy PTO might be a good option and something that you could really find useful in your application depending on what you're doing. Now, what we're also going to have is a category 3 drawbar here. This is going to be adjustable in and out. It can also be adjusted side to side, and you are going to have this nice locking pin mechanism on that as well to be able to hook up to any of those implements that you have that are going to be pulled by drawbar. Now, one thing we didn't talk about is lifting capacity. So on this machine, what you're going to see standard is you are going to see a lifting capacity of right around 9,620 pounds here with our 3-point. But on these machines, you are able to really weight them up. So we could put more weight in the front of this machine by adding suitcase weights and other forms of ballast there at the front, and actually up the lifting capacity here at the rear. If we do that, you can usually get a couple thousand extra pounds out of this by adding that extra weight in the front. Just make sure that you are referencing your operator manual whenever you are looking at getting over that 9,600 pounds, making sure that you're ballasted correctly. And also, like we talked about before, if we add a loader to this machine, we need to also be making sure that we are ballasted correctly here at the rear, whether it be with the wheel weights that we had already talked about, or adding an implement here at the back, or maybe such things as a ballast box to make sure that you're safe whenever you're running that loader, or these rear implements. Now, once we've gotten over here to the right hand side, really just a couple of things to talk about. For one, you are going to have a fully functioning right hand door and staircase, so if you need to get in and out of this machine on the right hand side, you're going to have that. But we're also going to have our windshield washer fluid fill here, and then also our battery charging port right here. That way, if we need to jump this tractor off, before we need to get to this battery to charge it, right there is going to be our charging point. So that is pretty much the overview for the outside of the machine. Only other thing that I'd point out is you are going to have plenty of working lights around this machine, all around the front and the rear, and even some over here on the side. One thing that's nice about these is these are going to be customizable once you get into the cab, and I actually have a video on how to do that, and I'll make sure to drop that down in the link below. So let's go ahead and jump in the cab, check out the features and functions in there. Getting in, you've got a nice easy opening door, and it is going to be held by this gas shock here, so that's going to hold that steady and in place, so if the wind is blowing, that door is not going to slam onto you. Taking a look from the doorway here, what you're going to see first is going to be the standard air ride seat. Nice thing about these machines is you do not only have just the standard air ride suspension seat, but you also have another option of moving up to the deluxe air ride seat as well. Now, once we're seated in the tractor, nice thing is you can reach over here with your left hand, grab onto this arm here, pull that door closed, and then first thing that we will do is just take a look around here. Starting over here in the left hand corner, we are going to have a light. We're also going to have a storage cubby here. This is going to be a good place for your operator manual or anything you need to keep on board. You are going to have the opening sunroof here. It is not only for a sunroof, but is also so that you can see your loader when you're doing that loader work, being able to go up. We're going to have that rear view mirror in the top right, and then up and over in our back right corner is where our radio is going to be located. So now we'll go ahead and turn this machine on, give that key a turn. Once we turn this on, we are going to see a monitor turn on here, and then also a monitor turn on here. Now, both of these monitors are going to have their own set of features and functions, which I have also made a separate video over that I will drop down in the description below so that you can see how both of those work. But basically over here in your right hand corner post and to your right side is where you're going to get all of your information on this tractor. So what you're probably used to is a dash display, so right in front of the steering wheel you would be looking for that information, but anything that you would be looking for in that instance, you would now be looking over here to your right hand side. Now we'll go ahead and give it another turn and go ahead and start the machine up. One thing I would point out is just how quiet it is here in the cab. The engine is right in front of you, but you really can't hear it that much. The main thing that you're going to hear is the blowing of the AC, and I know that you guys are hearing that in this video, but we are out here on an Oklahoma summer day. It is over 100 degrees here before noon, so I've got to have that AC on while we're going over this thing. Now, first thing let's talk about is the steering column and steering wheel situation. Right here you are going to see this in the up position, and this is the position you're going to want whenever you are coming into the tractor. That way you make sure and have all the leg room, but we can easily change that. Right down here we have this lever here. You're simply going to pull this down and then pull down on your steering wheel, and then now we can have it in our driving mode here. Now if we look at the front at our dash, like I said before, there are no screens up here. What you are going to have is a nice little pocket here that if you wanted to, you could put your phone in it, or if you have a smaller tablet or device, right there would be a great place for that. So that is what that is in place for. Other features that are going to be on our steering column is right here to the left. This is going to be our turn signals, and then also our horn over here on the outside. And then we are also going to have that forward position for our brights, or the pull back to flash our brights. Now we're also going to have on some transmissions, most transmissions will have this forward, neutral, and reverse lever right here. So if we look over here to the side, we can see that our neutral position is out here to the left. Then we're going to have our forward and our reverse. So this very simply is just our left-hand reverser. If you are used to any other type of smaller tractor, you have probably seen this at some point on one of those tractors. This is going to be the same thing. We're just in a larger scale tractor, so it looks just a little bit different, but ultimately it is going to go along with your transmission controls right over here. So then on the right-hand side of the steering wheel, we are going to have our lights knob here. So we have the off position. We are going to have have our headlights position and then our working lights position right up here. Now, like I said before, the lights in this are completely customizable, and that is going to be a big part of it, whether we are using just the headlights or the working lights. So like I said before, if you want to know more about that light customization, make sure to go down into that description, check those links, as I do have one showing you how to customize those here in the machine. Now, if we look down here to the floorboard, over here on the left, we are going to have our clutch pedal like we would suspect. Then over to the right, we are going to have our brakes here. Now, as you can see, these are locked into place. So right down here, we have a lever where we can pull this loose to unlock these brakes, to make those to where they are individual. That way, if we want to use those brakes individually for turning brakes to make those sharper turns to either the left or the right, you have the ability of doing that. Those don't always have to stay locked, but a lot of people use those brakes at the same time all the time. So a lot of times when you get in one of these machines, that will go ahead and be locked. Then to the right of that, we are going to have our foot throttle. So you can hear there that if I push on that foot throttle, it works just like our hand throttle would over here on the right hand side. Now, over here on the right hand side is where we are going to have all of our controls. We are going to have our loader joystick right here, which of course with this machine we do not have a loader, so we're really not going to use this, but you could use this for certain transmission controls. I have gone over this in another video as well that I will put down in the description below. This is going to be whenever we are using our controls setup in this monitor. You can see how these buttons can be utilized even if you're not using a loader. We're also going to have our transmission control. So right here is going to be our main shifter. Then we are going to have buttons over here on the side to change between those gears right here. Then we are going to have our different shift pattern right here. Now, this is going to look a little bit different if you are in a 24 or newer machine, because in the 23s we still had the auto quad 20s, and now in 24 and 25 they have gone away from those to the auto quad plus. So just know that that may be a little bit different setup if you're getting into a newer machine. So moving right along over here on our right hand side, once we see yellow here, this is going to be our PTO engagement right here. This is going to be our 3-point control. I have a video going over all of the buttons on this controller and exactly how to use it. I'll make sure to drop that down in the description below. Then we are going to have our SCV paddles as well. Once again, have a video on that and how to use those. And then we are going to have our right hand button panel, which I have done a video over as well, down in the description below for you to check out. So to make this review a little bit shorter and a little bit easier for your viewing pleasure, if you are not interested at all in how everything works over here, if you are mainly just wanting information about the tractor and seeing what it looks like, this is the video for you. If you're wanting to get more technical and learn about how each one of these functions works because you are getting into one of these tractors, then definitely go down in that description below. Check out those links to all those other videos, as those will be super helpful in explaining how each part of these controls work. Now, as far as other features that are in this cab, for one, we are going to have the instructional seat over here, and as you can see, it is pretty well a full-size seat there. So this is not going to be just for your kids or for a small person to be sitting in here. You can have a full-grown size adult sitting in here with you if you happen to be training somebody to run this machine or need a second person on board with you. You have that nice seat there. Then right back here behind the seat is going to be a nice addition as well. This is usually where our fuse panel is, but in these 6Rs, this is actually going to open up, and this is actually going to act as a small cooler for your food or beverages or whatever you prefer. You are going to have a switch right back here where you can either turn this off or turn this on. If you don't want to use this as a cooler and just want to use it for normal storage, you can keep that switch turned off. Now, the other things to talk about while we're here in the cab is going to be just the overall view that you get. You have a good range of view all the way around the front. When we're looking out the side, we have a ton of glass, and we're also going to have those rear view mirrors. And if we're looking out the back, we've got a good open view out the back and ability to see out the rear. You're also going to have this rear opening window, that if you need to see or reach anything out of the rear, you are going to be able to get to that. And then over here to our right hand side, Once again, just big, wide open, great visibility in this machine. So that is pretty much going to do it for the 6R145. Guys, if you are interested in one of these machines, this is definitely one that you want to go in, talk to your local dealership, see what type of inventory there is, see if this tractor is spec'd out the way you want it, because as you heard, there are many options on this machine, so you may want to order one of these to fit your operation specifically. So definitely go in, talk to your dealer, talk about those different options, and then while you're at it, also be asking about any type of incentive programs that might be out there, any discounts that you may qualify for, and then also get to talking about your price, warranty, and options for extended warranty on this machine as well. So guys, I hope this video helped you out. I hope that you liked this video. If you did, we just ask you to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Also guys, if you are wanting to see more videos like this, or just more videos over John Deere equipment in general, make sure to go check out the rest of the channel. And as always guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Hey guys, make sure to check out this cool video and this one. Buy your parts right up here and subscribe right here.